Hello, all you mathletes out there. Thanks for joining me once again for question 22 on the 7th grade level Gauss contest. In the diagram, a shape is formed with using unit squares, with B the midpoint of AC and D the midpoint of CE. The line, which passes through P and cuts the area of the shape into two pieces of equal area, although not necessarily equal shape, also passes through the point. So we have our options here, and as soon as we know if it's D or if it's B, we know that the answer is going to be D or B. So they've nicely laid out those for us. Okay, so we're going to pass through P, and we're going to cut through one of these. Well, let's draw our picture. I think we have enough room from the last question. Last question didn't take too long. There was one down at the bottom, and then we go over one unit, and that's where the A, B, C, D, E stuff started. And then I think there was another layer. Was there another square there? Let's check. I think I've got it copied, right? Yeah. Okay. So now let's get our P. There he is, P. And we'll get A, B down here, C, D, and E. Okay, so the idea is we want to cut this into two equal halves, and we've got to get a line going through P and passing through one of these other ones. So, you know, if it was going through P and B, then this area would be equal to this area. That's the rough idea. That's what we're shooting for. Is it going to be B? Well, visual inspection would say no. It's because it looks like we've got much smaller area. But visual inspection alone is not how mathematicians operate. How much area do we have in total? Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 unit squares for the area. So each half would have 4.5 squares. Now you can already see as we pass through B that we're not going to be cut into 4 squares on this side and then a half square and 4 squares on this. We're sort of chopping through a bunch of squares at a time. Now there's only 5 options. We could just slice through each one of them, but let's try and think about this a bit more logically. If we take a look at the other lines that we could have, A to B, AC, AD, and AE, we notice that this square down here is always on the one side, and these 2 squares here are always fully on the other side, no matter which line we pick. What's left over? Well, what's left over is this orange rectangle that we are chopping up. Okay. So we need to chop it so that 2.5, 2.5 squares are on the one side up here, and 3.5 squares are on this side down here. Okay? Because then the 2.5 plus these 2 will be 4.5, and the 3.5 plus this 1 will be 4.5. So we need to figure out which line A, B, C, through A, B, C, D, or E gives us this split for this orange rectangle. Now we can just focus on our orange rectangle. And he's in a slightly nicer shape. He's a rectangle. Now we still have P up here, and then we've got A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, so we've thought of a new way to look at the problem, but does this actually help us? Well, let's look at our middle option, going right through C. Right through C is going to split this into 2.5 and 2.5. It's going to split it in half. Or not 2.5, 3, because the total area is 6, right? Yeah. So we get 3 on this half and 3 on this, just because we got a total area of 6, and P to C is a diagonal. It's going to split the rectangle right in half. But we don't want that. we want a little less on the top triangle and a little more on the bottom triangle, and that rules out A, B, or C. So now it's either D or E. So now we've narrowed it down. And if you were running out of time, you could take a guess at this point. I encourage guesses if you're out of time and you really can't decide between 2 or maybe 3 options left. But don't guess if you got 5 or 4 options left in a Part C question. It's not worth it. Leave it blank, take the 2 marks. Okay? Just a general strategy. But if it's down to 2 and you're sure it's one of those 2 and you run out of time, take a guess. Because it is worth it at that point. Okay? So it's either D or E. How do we decide between the 2 of them? Well, if we've narrowed it down this far, let's actually take a look. What happens if I go through P to E? Well, that actually splits this upper square in half. Now, this square is 1, 2, 3, 4 units. Split in half, we will get 2 on this side, and therefore the remaining 4 on this side. Well, that's too much of a split. We want 2.5 and 3.5. So that rules out E. The answer's got to be D. And again, as I noted, their setup is such that choosing D as our answer is choosing D to bubble in. So D is what we're looking for. Okay? And if you wanted to, you could actually verify. You could chop going through P to D. You know, CD is a half unit, so you could say, well, here, let's talk a bit more about this. You could actually show concretely that it is the one you want. So you can go through P down here to D. And we want to get 2.5 units up here. Well, we've got a triangle of base 2 and a height of 2 plus the half distance from down here. So it's a right angle. 2 times 2.5 all over 2, because it's base times height over 2. We get the 2.5 we so crave. Okay, so we can confirm it. We don't need to at this point because we ruled out A, B, and C, and then we ruled out E. It's got to be D. It's got to be what's left over. Okay? So that does it for question 22. We move right along into question 23. Thank you guys as always for watching, and I'll see you next time.